So StoragePoint, one of my favorite products, one of my favorite two products actually. Let's talk a little bit about what it is that's driving the need for this part of our product portfolio and why this has actually been one of our best products in terms of ASP and a lot of things that are going to be near and dear to your hearts. First, we know that SharePoint is growing. It's continuing to grow quite a bit. And what happens in SharePoint just generally is that as the environment grows, as it matures, as they do more customizations to that as an administrative group, it starts to bog down. And when it bogs down and gets more complex, administrators have a harder time managing it. Users have poorer performance. And if you can holistically start to solve that, you're actually well on your way to having a high performance environment. Another thing is that as you add content, you necessarily have to add storage. And traditionally, the way that people have added storage has been very, very expensive, high velocity disks that are back there, and it costs a lot of money. So if you go from a terabyte to 2 to 5 to 10 terabytes, that gets very expensive. And the SharePoint admin oftentimes isn't even the person who's absorbing that cost. You have other parts of the organization that are picking up some of that cost. And the storage group would love you if you could start to take some of that pressure off of them. So as the environment grows, the cost of adding hardware goes up, the cost of maintenance of the license of those database servers grows. And so this is really a strong pain point for folks historically. When you have an environment and you start to rely on it, as organizations are doing with SharePoint, one of the things that happens is you start to say, this would be great if I could add in a whole bunch of other content that I have sitting over here on the side. So a lot of organizations would love to start to take content that they have sitting out there in file stores and bring it into SharePoint. Reason for this is, as we talked about a lot about the metadata on that first day, the metadata gives you the discoverability, the findability of that content. You can start to manage it and put some controls around it. But it comes with a cost. And so taking file systems that sit out there and just sucking all of that content into SharePoint it adds as expensive storage cost, and it creates bloat within the environment. So this is a conundrum. They'd like to add in a lot of various kinds of content throughout the organization, but they're not quite sure, how can I do this and be efficient at it, cost effective at it? And kind of dovetailing on that, the more content, the more customization, the more dependencies, as you add extranets as well as internet applications on top of things, you get this growing complexity, which makes it very difficult from a very vanilla environment. And the types of daily activities that an administrator has to do necessitates bringing in more and more people or more tools that can help to solve some of this complexity and sprawl. Specific to content and sprawl, as you add content, you necessarily start to add database servers and different sites that are spread out through those. And so the sprawl becomes very hard to keep track of and organize. So let's kind of boil it down. For many of you, the concept of what StoragePoint is used for can be summed up in a couple of easy visuals. So let's think about it. Bottom line is you start out with a small SharePoint environment. That SharePoint environment grows bigger and bigger. As that content starts to grow, SharePoint slows down. Okay? It's just a natural thing. If you think about it, more cars on the freeway, you can't commute as fast. There's more traffic involved in there. A lot of things are going on. And as SharePoint slows down, that actually creates a lot of problems. It makes it very hard for administrators to manage, first and foremost. But secondarily, you start to get some very upset users when we're like, look, I have a tolerance. I think I heard the numbers the other day. In the US, it's 3 minutes you give up. In the UK and in Europe, it's 4 minutes. But bottom line is, people have very low tolerance for things that they expect to be instantaneous. So if you can just think about the pain of, look, when you're talking to a customer, your environment is growing, you know it, you're feeling the pain. One of the things that we can do with this product called StoragePoint is help to relieve some of the pain around the slowdown, the unhappy users, and the difficulty in management.